Another week, another which should you buy video. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. Today we're doing another which should you buy video. I know I did one last week, but I really feel like these two shoes that I have today are worth comparing. Both are meant for racing. Both have carbon fiber plates, and both of them only have it in the forefoot of the shoe. And when it comes to carbon fiber plated shoes, they're on the firmer side of the spectrum. So today I'll be comparing the Asics Metaracer and the Skechers Speed Elite. So before we get started today, I do want to make the disclaimer that the Asics Metaracer was sent to me by Running Warehouse and Asics, and the Skechers Speed Elite was sent to me by Skechers. However, this is a completely unbiased review. No one from any of these companies is gonna preview this video before you get to see it. I got no hidden agenda. My only agenda here is to give you my honest opinion on the shoes. So with that, let's get to it. So we're gonna start with the specs, and then we're gonna talk about the uppers, the midsole, the outsoles, the pricing of the shoes, so that you can get a better idea of which you should buy. And at the end, of course, I'll tell you which I would buy. I gotta say, I was skeptical about these two carbon plated shoes, and I was pleasantly surprised by both of them. But which did I like better? That is the question. The Asics Metaracer is 6.8 ounces for a women's size 8, but for the size I have, which is a women's 10, the shoe came in at about 7 ounces. It has a 9mm drop with 24mm of stack in the heel and 15 in the forefoot. Yes, I had to record this again because I had the wrong measurements. I do apologize. Now for me, the sizing on the shoe is a little bit strange. I have a 10, like I said. Usually I'm a 10.5. Although I think that this fits me pretty well. It's a little bit on the snug side, which we'll get to, but I'm gonna say that I'm not exactly sure that this shoe is true to size. Maybe I would order the 10 again, which means a half size down. The Skechers Speed Elite is incredibly light, coming in at about 6 ounces for a men's size 9, which is exactly what I have here. It has a 4mm drop with 23mm of stack in the heel and 19 in the forefoot. And because a men's size 9 usually translates to a women's size 10.5, I would say that this is true to size. On to the uppers. Asics is using an engineered mesh here in the Metaracer. The material is multi-directional for lots of breathability, and this shoe definitely has that breathability that you need when going fast. And it also adds a bit of structure to the upper. I took it out on a really hot day and I could feel that air coming through the top. And in fact, there's even a little hole here for even more ventilation. I'll try to hold it up. Can you see that? It's out of focus. Yeah, there you go. You get the idea. Something I definitely want to mention that I noticed right out of the box with this upper is that it is extremely narrow. Sometimes I feel like I am using all of my energy just to get this shoe on because it is that snug of a fit, which I'm not gonna lie, I was concerned about before I started running. I thought, oh, this is a recipe for disaster. I'm gonna get hot spots and blisters and it's gonna be really uncomfortable. But I have to be honest, I actually started to like that when I was running and it felt like it fit my foot like a glove. I've seen some people say that this toe box is fairly wide and gives you plenty of room for your toes to splay. I certainly wouldn't call this toe box wide. I have a narrow foot and I feel like I have just enough room. Of course, this is a size 10 and I usually take a size 10 and a half. But lengthwise, I have plenty of room in the toe box. It's just around here that it gets a bit narrow. However, like I said, it caused no issues while I was running. The laces are fine. They're pretty standard length and they stay tied. They're not stretchy at all. The tongue of the shoe is completely cushionless. It's just a thin piece of fabric and it's not gusseted. So I did have some issues with this tongue kind of folding over itself. I had to readjust it quite a few times. So I thought that was a little bit annoying. If we move back to the heel area of the shoe, there is some padding around the ankle, not a ton of it, but just enough of it. The heel counter isn't incredibly sturdy, but the good news is that I didn't have any heel slippage in the Metaracer and I didn't have to use the runner's loop. This upper reminds me of traditional racing flats, and I think that's what Asics was trying to go for here. And in my opinion, it gets the job done. Skechers is using a ripstop mesh in the Speed Elite. This upper also provides a ton of breathability. I felt lots of air coming through the top of this shoe. And it's also translucent, which from an aesthetic standpoint is kind of fun if you want to wear different colored socks. And while I would say that the Speed Elite gives you a dialed in fit, I'd say that it's a little bit looser and a little bit wider than the Metaracer, which isn't really saying much because the Metaracer is so snug. And I'd still call this on the snugger side of things, but it's nowhere near like the Metaracer. Again, I didn't have any issues here with hot spots, blisters, thank goodness, nothing like that. I do feel like the toe box in the Speed Elite has more room for your toes to splay. The laces of the shoe were also pretty standard lengthwise and they're thin, they stayed tied, no issues there. The tongue of the Speed Elite is also not gusseted, so I thought it would be an issue, but it actually laid on the top of my foot just fine. And with the laces, I got a decent lockdown on that tongue and it wasn't sliding around everywhere. If we move back to the heel area of this shoe, you'll see that it looks like there's little to no padding here, but there actually is a bit inside where my finger is, kind of like in the Vaporfly Next Percent. But if you're looking for a more supportive heel counter than in the Metaracer, you won't find it. Oh, look, a Speed Elite clog. You won't find it here in the Speed Elite. So when it comes to the uppers, which of these shoes do I like better? Honestly, neither. I like both just the same for different reasons. Maybe I lean a little more towards the Speed Elite in terms of upper, but I'm gonna give it a tie here. Can I do that? Yeah, I guess I can do that. It's my channel. And now it's time to talk about those midsoles. The Asics Metaracer has a bunch of different stuff going on here in the midsole. First, Asics is using their low density flight foam for the cushioning, which they have also mixed with their guide sole technology that we saw in the Glide Ride and the Evo Ride. And of course, we have a carbon fiber plate in the forefoot of this shoe. And the other interesting thing about this carbon fiber plate is that it's bottom loaded, which means it's not in the center of the midsole. It actually sits right above the outsole of the shoe. When I saw the Metaracer, I was certainly intrigued by it and I wanted to give it a shot, but I had a feeling it would be too firm for me, and I certainly didn't think I was going to be running any marathons in it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I still don't think I'll be running any marathons in it, but I was wrong about this shoe because I absolutely love it. The way the flight foam midsole works with that guide sole technology and the carbon plate is a nice, sweet, buttery smooth ride. We've seen flight foam in pretty much every Asics shoe out there, but this feels a little softer to me and a little more responsive. Like I said earlier, it's still a firm ride, but I think this is enough cushioning to certainly take me the half marathon distance. Before the Metaracer, we've never seen the guide sole technology mixed with a carbon plate. And let me tell you, that roll forward feels just so much more propulsive. I'd compare this shoe to a Ferrari. You don't necessarily want to take a Ferrari on a road trip because it might not be the most comfortable option, but it's like the weekend car where you want to go fast and make a statement, maybe for a shorter drive. This shoe is as close to a Ferrari as I'm ever gonna get. And the color's kind of like a Ferrari too. The Skechers Speed Elite has its own set of fun stuff going on in the midsole. We have a full-length Hyperburst foam setup, also mixed with a 4-foot carbon fiber plate. This shoe also does not have a full-length plate like the Metaracer. And we got Skechers M-Strike technology in the midfoot. The really interesting thing about the Speed Elite's plate is that it's not just a slab of carbon fiber. It's actually this H-shaped carbon plated winglet, they're calling it, which Skechers says promotes stability and propulsion a little bit better than your standard plate. So, how does the Hyperburst mix with this special plate and this M-Strike? How does it all work together? How does it feel? Like I said earlier, this shoe is also a little bit firm. Certainly not something that I would take to marathon distance. However, I'd say it has a little bit more cushion and a little bit more softness than the Metaracer. The Hyperburst is definitely more forgiving in that sense. So if you're looking for something that's firm but has a little more protection, then this might be a better option for you. And mixed with that carbon plate, which I think this might be it. Certainly feels like it might be it. And the M-Strike technology, you get a nice roll forward. But I don't think the roll forward is as noticeable as it is in the Metaracer. But I think I could take it a couple miles more than I could the Metaracer. I really enjoyed my runs in the Speed Elite. I think it provides a different option than the Next Percents and the Endorphin Pro and all that sort of bouncy high cushion stuff. It gives you a nice middle ground. So when it comes to the midsole, which of these two shoes do I like better? I'm going with the Metaracer here. I feel like it's so easy to pick up the pace in this shoe, it's almost effortless. You feel like you're wearing the shoe and the shoe isn't wearing you. And I do get that sensation in the Speed Elite, don't get me wrong, but it's easier to get really fast in the Metaracer. Am I starting to like firmer shoes? Let's talk about the outsoles. If we turn over the Asics Metaracer, you will see that Asics is using lots of rubber in the forefoot of the shoe, which they are calling their Asics Grip technology. And they're also utilizing their wet grip technology. There's lots of grip here. Not only is this outsole smooth and sleek looking, but it grips onto stuff so well. Upon first glance of this outsole, I was skeptical because there's really not much of a traction pattern. There's some grooves in there, but it's pretty smooth. But I'm happy to say that that was absolutely not a problem here. There's Ruby, right there. And it's so great when a running shoe as dialed in and as fast as this also has the traction to go with it. I mean, it's a recipe for success. If we turn over the Skechers Speed Elite, you'll see that we're using some Goodyear rubber in the forefoot of the shoe and a little bit on the lateral side of the heel. I have had some issues with Goodyear rubber in the Skechers shoes in the past. I felt like they made the ride of the shoe a little too firm. However, here there's very little of it and the traction is outstanding. The only place that I'm really starting to see any wear is on the exposed Hyperburst material, which is expected. There's a little bit of fraying in the toe and a little bit on the lateral side of the shoe right here. Time will only tell how this impacts the durability and the ride of the shoe going forward, but my guess is, like always, most of this wear is cosmetic at this point. So when it comes to the outsoles of the Metaracer and the Speed Elite, which do I prefer? Kind of hard to pick. But I'm gonna say just from a durability standpoint, I'm gonna go with the Metaracer. But again, it's close, it's close. All right guys, well that brings us to which would I buy? And I'm gonna have to go with the Metaracer. I'm sorry, this was a really hard decision. That being said, if you are a person who wants a wider toe box, a little bit more cushioning than this has to offer, then this is your shoe. I would honestly buy both of these shoes because I really like them and I love that there's a firm option out there. These are the perfect shoes for me for a half marathon. I'm going with the Metaracer because that guide sole and that carbon plate together is whoof. It's unbeatable. The Asics Metaracer is available for pre-order on runningwarehouse.com for $199.95, so I'll link that down below. And as for the Skechers Speed Elite, there's really not much availability on runningwarehouse.com right now, but on Skechers' website, it is available for $190. The availability of this shoe is a little bit low right now, but hopefully in the future, we stock back up and you guys can get your hands on it. When that happens, I'll be sure to link it down below as well. Keep in mind, these are affiliate links, so that doesn't mean much for you. It just basically helps out my channel so I can keep making these reviews and hopefully helping you guys part with your money and buy some new running shoes, which I'm sure everyone loves to do. Well guys, that concludes this video of which should you buy, the Asics Metaracer or the Skechers Speed Elite. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit that notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. Phew. I have another video for you guys next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. All right, Ruby. Got two shoes here. Which shoe do you pick? Which one? Oh, neither shoes? You don't want either? You want to play with that ant? Which one? Pick one. Come on, Ruby.